Right. So calculation of molecular mass from the elevation in boiling point and the depression in freezing point. We'll do the some model questions. Okay, tell me, elevation in boiling point delta TB is equals to Kb into m, and depression in freezing point delta TF equal to Kf into m. So wait, Kb and Kf are what? Kb is molar elevation constant or ebullioscopic constant, and Kf is molar depression constant or cryoscopic constant. And Kb and Kf value depends on only nature of solvent. Okay. Now let's say some model questions. So suppose delta TB equal to Kb into m. If the molarity given, right? If the molarity given and Kb value is given, we can calculate delta TB. Yes or no? And if you once you calculate delta TB, so TB can be calculated easily. Okay. Let's write one question. Take one question. 2 grams of non-volatile 2 grams of non-volatile substance 2 grams of non-volatile substance dissolved in 100 grams of water. Dissolved in 100 grams of water. 100 grams of water. Calculate the molar mass of non-volatile substance. Calculate the molar mass of non-volatile substance. In bracket, given that the boiling point of solution is 101.2 degrees Celsius, 101.2 degrees Celsius, and Kb equal to 0.52. Kb equal to 0.52 Kelvin kg per mole. Kelvin kg per mole. Okay, so tell me the data. What is the data given? 2 grams. That means Wb, no? Wb is 2 grams of non-volatile substance dissolved in. What is the W1 or WA? 100 grams of solvent. Okay. Next, what is the Kb equal to? 0.52 Kelvin kg per mole, and moreover water you have to remember. Next what they have given? Boiling point of solution. Boiling point of solution TB or T naught here? TB. So TB is equals to 101.2 degree Celsius. Then what about T naught be? Boiling point of pure water. You can take it as a 100 degree Celsius. Okay. Then what you have to calculate? Molar mass of solute. M2 or MB. So therefore, come on to it. First calculate delta TB. So delta TB is equals to TB minus T naught B. Delta TB equal to TB. TB value given, it is 101.2 minus 100 degrees Celsius. So therefore delta TB equal to 1.2 degree Celsius. Okay. Then so that TB value substitute here. It is a 1.2 equal to Kb value 0.52. Then molality. So what is the molality? Weight of solute Wb by Mb into 1000 divided by Wa in grams. Okay. Then 1.2 equal to 0.52 into WB. How many grams of the solute? 2 grams into 1000 divided by MB. We have to calculate into WA. How many grams of the solvent? 100. So simplify, we will get molar mass of the solute. It's a very commonly asked question. Okay, so MB equal to, you bring this is here, okay, 2 zeros, 2 zeros. Tell me.
8.6.
8.6 grams per mole. Molar mass must be in grams per mole. Okay. So by giving data, they expect the molar mass. Is one kind of question. Next is one more question. This question previously given in CET. Madam, 10% aqueous sodium hydroxide solution, boiling point is 10% aqueous sodium hydroxide solution, boiling point is A 100 degrees Celsius, B less than 100 degrees Celsius, C greater than 100 degrees Celsius, for not predicted. Tell me, so what is the boiling point of 10% aqueous sodium hydroxide solution? It is greater than. Why? It is a non-volatile solute. No, sodium hydroxide is a non-volatile solute. When a non-volatile solute is added to pure volatile solvent, the boiling point is increases. Boiling point of solution is always greater than the boiling point of pure solvent. It is an aqueous solution. So what is the boiling point of pure water? 100 degrees Celsius. Right, 100 degrees Celsius. But we are adding sodium hydroxide. Right. So when a non-volatile solute is added, its boiling point must be greater. How much greater? We don't know. We have to calculate. It must be greater than 100 degrees Celsius. Now same question is, see, let us take one more question. 2% aqueous NaCl freezes at 2% aqueous NaCl freezes at option 1 0 degrees Celsius, 0 degrees Celsius, B less than 0, C greater than 0, D not predicted. So A is 0 degrees Celsius, B less than 0 degrees Celsius, C greater than 0 degrees Celsius, D not predicted. See, freezing point of solution is always less than the freezing point of pure solvent. What is the freezing point of pure water here, solvent? It is aqueous, no water. So the freezing point of pure water is 0. Right? When a non-volatile electrolyte is added, or non-volatile, non-electrolyte, non-volatile, even electrolyte. So therefore, when a non-volatile substance is added to pure volatile solvent, then what happens? Boiling freezing point is decreases. Therefore, less than 0 degrees Celsius. So remember, when a substance is added to pure solvent, its boiling point is always increases. Freezing point always decreases. Now one more question. Question is like this. Now listen first. Listen. Read not right. The boiling point of ethyl alcohol is 351.3 degrees Celsius. The boiling point of ethyl alcohol is 351.3 degrees Celsius. Kelvin. Right. Now, to this ethyl alcohol, let us add a small amount of non-volatile substance. When a non-volatile substance is added to ethyl alcohol, what happened boiling point, what happened freezing point? Boiling point must be greater than 351.3 Kelvin. The freezing point must be less than 351.1. Sorry, no, freezing point is different. Freezing point is must be okay. ಅಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಕನ್ನು ಮುಂಚೆ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಹಾಂ ಇರಲಿ ಓಕೆ ಫೈನ್ ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ವೇ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮೇ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಓಕೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡನ್ ಒನ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಡೆಲ್ಟಾ ಕೆ ಬಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೆ ಎಫ್ if the freezing point is given, boiling point can be calculated, did, and boiling point is given, freezing point can be, yes, okay. So yeah, that can be done. That is also one important model question. Okay, next, right, one more question. It is given NCERT textbook also. Take this, write down. Two elements A and B forms two elements A and B forms compounds of formula AB2 and AB4. Two elements A and B forms compounds of formula AB2, AB4. When dissolved in 20 grams of benzene, when dissolved in 20 grams of benzene, one gram of AB2 lowers freezing point, 1 gram of AB2, capital A, B2, AB2 lowers freezing point by 2.3 degrees Celsius, by 2.3 degrees Celsius, whereas 1 gram of AB4 lowers freezing point, 1 gram of AB4 lowers freezing point by 1.3 degrees Celsius, 1.3 degree Celsius. The Kf for benzene is Kf for benzene is 5.4. Calculate the atomic masses of capital A, capital B respectively. Calculate the atomic masses of capital A, capital B respectively. Okay, let us see, there are two compounds AB2, AB4. Listen carefully. This is one different question. AB2, AB4. Can you tell me? So AB2, what is the mass of the AB2? Mass given 1 gram, no? Then what is the mass of the AB4? It is also 1 gram. Next, what is the what is the mass of the solvent? WA, 20 gram. It is also 20 gram because both are in 20 grams of benzene only. Okay, what is the Kf of this? 2 point? Not. Delta TF. Okay. What is the delta TF equal to? 2.3 degrees Celsius. And here delta TF equal to 1.3 degrees Celsius. And Kf value is same, no? Benzene, no? 5.4 Kelvin kg per mole. And here also Kf of benzene same, it is a 5.4 Kelvin kg per mole. Okay. Now we need to calculate mass of the atomic mass of the A and capital A, capital B respectively. Now let the let the atomic mass of capital A, I'll take A gram, and capital B, I'll take B gram. Then what is the molecular mass of AB2? Tell me.
A plus 4.
Very good. Molecular mass of AB2 is equals to atomic mass of A is small a plus there are 2B, no? Therefore it is a 2B. So A plus 2B is the molecular mass of AB2. Now similarly, what is the molecular mass of AB4? So there is a atomic mass of capital A is small a, right? Atomic mass of capital B is small b. There are 4B, therefore it is a gram per mole. It is also gram per mole respectively. Then we need to calculate what are the atomic mass of A and B respectively. And tell me, what is the formula to calculate the depression in freezing point? Delta TF equal to, take down, delta TF is equals to Kf into M. M equal to, can I write, it is a WB by MB into 1000 divided by, it is WA in grams. Okay. So this is the formula to calculate delta TF. Here let us take in case of AB2. Tell me, in case of AB2, what is the delta TF? 2.3 equal to Kf is 5.4 into WB is 1 gram into 1000 divided by, what is the MB? MB equal to A plus 2B into, what is the WA equal to? 20 grams of benzene. Same data I am substituting there, that's it. Okay. You simplify, we want actually A plus 2B. Calculate. It is 1s, it is 50s. Okay. Transfer here, you bring here, multiply these two. What is A plus 2B equal to? Similarly, AB4. Have got anybody 117 on something? Tell me AB4. For AB4, delta TF equal to 7.7 something. Okay, right. Now do it this AB4. In case of AB4, calculate again A plus B4. 4B. Okay. Tell me, delta TF equal to, it is 1.3, which is equals to 5.4 Kf into 1 into, this is 1000 same, divided by molecular mass is A plus 4B into 20. Same, no? You understanding? I am just substituting. Next. So it is 1s, it is 50s. Simplify, we want actually A plus 4B, which is equals to, take this is equation 1. Come on, do it here. A plus 4B. No?
27.
No? You will get 200 plus 227.5. Is it right? 227. Got anybody? If it is a 227.5, take equation 2. Okay? Then tell me, then how do you get A and B value? Subtract. Subtract A and the 1 and 2. Equation 2 in 1, right? So therefore, is it 227, right? Ramesh, got it? Tell me. What is B equal to? No. No. It means this is wrong. B should be, I think 45 something you will get. Idu nodi. You do it this first. Is it right? This is 5.4 correct only. 1 into 1000 correct only. 20 only. 1.3 right only. Calculation only. Do calculation properly. Right. So therefore, now tell me, A plus 4B equal to 207.7. Then subtract 2 in 1. Come on, tell me. So it is 2 equal to 207.7 minus 117.7, which is equals to, tell me, it is A plus 4B minus A plus 2B. You simplify, I think you will get B, 2B equal to 90, okay, 90, then B equal to 45. So B equal to 45, then substitute B value either equation 1 or equation 2, you will get A value, right? Then substitute B value in equation 1. It is A plus 2B, 2 into B equal to 45, which is equals to 117.7, you will get A value. So A equal to 27.7 grams per mole. It is also grams per mole. Okay. So this is one more model, important. Okay, next one more question. Which of the following has highest boiling point? Which of the following has highest boiling point? A 0.1 glucose, B 0.1 sucrose, C 0.1 aqueous NaCl, D 0.1 urea. Which one has highest boiling point? NaCl. Why? See, boiling point is directly proportional to particle concentration. Okay, so particle concentration is nothing but number of particle multiply with its concentration. Here, in case of glucose, sucrose and urea, these are all non-electrolytes. In case of non-electrolyte, the particle concentration is equals to solution concentration 0.1, 0.1 given, whereas in case of NaCl, particle concentration 0.1 into how many ions? It produces 2 ions, it means 0.2. So therefore, higher the particle concentration, higher the boiling point. Next, one more question. Now options will be same. You just say which of the following has lowest freezing point? Which of the following will have lowest freezing point? NaCl. So because freezing point is lowered, freezing point is inversely proportional to particle concentration. Highest particle concentration, lowest freezing point. Therefore again option will be same. Which of the following has highest freezing point? Highest freezing point is not highest. 1, A, B, D, 3 are having same freezing point. One more question. Which of the following will have same boiling point? Same boiling point. A, B, D, same boiling point. Because boiling point is directly proportional to particle concentration. Same particle concentration, same boiling point. Which of the following has same freezing point? A, B, D, same freezing point. Okay. So already we did this kind of questions. Now next continuation. Write down anti-freezing substance. Write down anti-freezing substance. Tell me. So what are anti-freezing substance and example? Example, we have written one example. Do you remember? Ethylene glycol. So ethylene glycol is a anti-freezing substance. Then what is the meaning of anti-freezing substance? The substance which reduces the freezing point of water. Right? So anti-freezing substance or write down the substance which reduces or decreases the substance which reduces or decreases the freezing point of water. Freezing point of water called anti-freezing substance. Yeah, you can, instead of water you can take any other solvent, but generally in application we use water. Other than water you can take any other solvent also, right? So therefore generally the substance which reduces the freezing point of any substance or any solvent, or usually water we take, called anti-freezing substance. So this anti-freezing substance reduces the freezing point of particularly water. Tell me, let us take freezing point of water. What is the freezing point of water? It is a 0 degree Celsius or 273 Kelvin. So normally water freezes at 0 degree Celsius or 273 Kelvin. When anti-freezing agents are added, anti-freezing substance are added, then what happens? Its freezing point is? It should be reduces. Then its freezing point will be less than 0. Less than 0 means it may be -1, -2, -3, -4, so on. Then those kind of substances are called what? Anti-freezing substance, anti-freezing agent. Then best example for anti-freezing substance is ethylene glycol. So ethylene glycol is a anti-freezing agent. So we have written in where solubility, I think. Solubility, yeah? Or no? W by V, I think. Okay. In W by V, we have written like this example. So ethylene glycol. Tell me, what is the W by V of ethylene glycol is taken as a anti-freezing agent? 30. Very good. 35%. So 35% W by V ethylene glycol is used as a anti-freezing agent in car radiators. Okay. Because in cold countries usually the temperature will be less than 0 degree Celsius. When it is less than 0 degree Celsius, if you take only pure water in radiator,
then what happen? It may freeze. When it is freezes, its volume is increases, then what happen? The radiator may break. So to avoid that, so instead of pure water, so 35% ethylene glycol, it means 35 grams of ethylene glycol dissolved in 100 ml of water can be taken as a anti-freezing agent, which reduces freezing point of water to minus 17.6 degrees Celsius. It means even at it freezes at minus 17.6 degrees Celsius. It means it does not freeze till minus 17.6 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, pure water freeze at 0 degrees. So therefore, now ethylene glycol is called anti-freezing agent. Next, there was one previous question, like sodium chloride, even anhydrous calcium chloride. Sodium chloride and anhydrous calcium chloride are used to clean the roads in snow roads. Okay, so during the winter season, even it is in our India also, particularly in Himachal Pradesh and northern side. So what happened? Yeah, it on the roads and all complete snow will block, right? Then to clear the roads, so usually sodium chloride and calcium chloride will be used. Okay, it is just sodium chloride they will pour on the roads. When sodium chloride and calcium chlorides are used on the snow, so snow completely melt. Why? What is the reason? It means when sodium chloride, calcium chloride is added, then what happened? The freezing point of the water decreases. Freezing point is decreases because earlier for example, take the ice. Ice freezes at what? 0. Melt of freeze or 0 degrees. Okay, at 0 degrees the ice has formed. Okay, now we need to convert ice into water. In order to clear the roads, ice has to convert into water, no? Water. So therefore, when we add the sodium chloride, calcium chloride, then instead of 0 degrees Celsius, so that water has to freeze at minus 10, minus 20, minus 30 degrees Celsius. That means at 0 degrees Celsius, so what happened? The whole ice get converted into water. That means road become clear. So to clear the roads, so this calcium chloride, sodium chloride is used. Okay, this is also one application of freezing point, anti-freezing agent. So where sodium chloride, calcium chloride are also anti-freezing substance, they reduces the freezing point of water. Okay, so next, right, osmotic pressure. Fourth colligative property is osmotic pressure. What is osmotic pressure and its related concepts? Osmotic pressure. See, to understand osmotic pressure, we need to understand first osmosis. Let's see first osmosis. What is osmosis and examples. To understand osmosis, let us take one simple diagram. There are two compartments. Okay, a beaker containing, it is a beaker containing two compartments. So these two compartments separated by, it is a semi-permeable membrane. Take down. Okay, so in one compartment there is a pure solvent, and another compartment there is a solution containing non-volatile solute. Right, so here this is a semi-permeable membrane, SPM, semi-permeable membrane. It is a pure solvent, or else you can take even it is a dilute solution also. It is a solution, you can take even it is a concentrated solution. Tell me, what is osmosis? In osmosis, it is a spontaneous process. The spontaneous flow of the solvent molecule from the solvent compartment to where? Solution compartment. The spontaneous flow of the solvent molecule from the solvent compartment to solution compartment, or else, so instead of it is a pure solvent, you can take even dilute. From the dilute solution to concentrate solution through the semi-permeable membrane is called osmosis. Right? So what is osmosis? Take down. The spontaneous flow of solvent molecule, the spontaneous flow of solvent molecule from solvent compartment, or even you can take dilute solution to solution compartment, from solvent compartment to solution compartment, or concentrated solution through semi-permeable membrane. The spontaneous flow of the solvent molecule from solvent compartment to solution compartment through the semi-permeable membrane called osmosis. Right. Now tell me whether osmosis is a spontaneous or non-spontaneous process. It is a spontaneous process. That's what, there is a spontaneous flow. The spontaneous flow of only solvent molecule but not solute molecule. Only solvent molecule will flow from solvent compartment to where? Solution compartment through the semi-permeable membrane. So which is called osmosis. Therefore, remember in osmosis there is a flow of only solvent molecule, and osmosis must be takes place only through the semi-permeable membrane. So let's see what is a semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane. Semi means half, right? Permeable, which allow, right? So semi-permeable means it is not allow all the particle, it allows some particle. Which particles? Solvent. So therefore, semi-permeable membrane is the membrane which allow the flow of only solvent molecule through it. So that kind of membrane is called what? Semi. Therefore, the membrane, right on, the membrane which allow the flow of only solvent through it. The membrane which allow the flow of only solvent molecule through it or through them called semi-permeable membrane. Then there are two types of semi-permeable membrane. Types of semi-permeable membrane. There are actually two types. What are the two types? One, natural, SPM. Second one is synthetic, right? Semi-permeable, synthetic or artificial. Semi permeable membrane. Can you tell me what are the natural SPM? Tell me. Cell, okay, cell membrane, all right. Particularly plant cell membrane. Plant cell membrane, comma, pig bladder, comma, goat bladder, comma, even RBC membrane will be there now. Red blood cells, RBC membrane, comma, egg membrane. Have seen egg membrane? No? Nodilva. When you boil the egg, okay, you remove the shell. Exactly below the shell there will be a membrane. That is a egg membrane, which is also SPM, semi-permeable membrane. Okay, even parchment also. Parchment, etc. are natural semi-permeable membranes. See, even animal membrane also be, but not 100%. Plant membrane is 100% act as a SPM, but animal membrane not. But some book given animal membrane also. So, but these examples are you can take plant membrane, cell membrane, egg, that is pig bladder, goat bladder, RBC membrane, RBC having membrane no, and egg membrane, parchment paper, etc. Next is synthetic or artificial semi-permeable membrane. Cellophane, comma, gelatinous calcium phosphate, Ca3PO4 twice, gelatinous calcium phosphate, nickel silicate. Tell me. No, agar gel not. Nickel silicate, and you can take cupric ferrocyanide. Cupric ferrocyanide or etc. Example for synthetic or artificial semi-permeable membranes. So this cupric ferrocyanide is commercially using. Even in water filter at all, you might have seen water filters. RO will be there no, reverse osmosis. In all water filters, wherever RO is there, there will be a use of semi-permeable membrane. And even the cost of the quality of water, the cost of filter, water filter also depends on SPM. Some water filters are highly costly because of their using membrane, right? Even when you use water filters like 3-4 months, 5-6 months, depends on water, we need to change the membrane. Otherwise, the taste of water changes. Everything depends on membrane. Okay. So therefore, usually in commercially this membrane is used. Cupric ferrocyanide in water filters and all, cupric ferrocyanide membrane will be used. Okay. So it is a semi-permeable membrane. Next, can you tell me example for osmosis? Where it is seen? Example for osmosis. See, you might have seen wilted flowers become fresh when they kept in water. Yes or no? Yes or no? Wilted flowers become fresh when they kept in water because of osmosis. So because of osmosis, water will flow from where? Outside into the flower cells. And even pulses soaked when they placed in water. Okay. Next, even the flow of the water through the roots. The flow of water through the roots because of osmosis, right? So roots absorb the water, right, from the soil. It is because of osmosis. Many more examples are there. Okay, write down examples. 1. Wilted flowers become fresh. Wilted flowers become fresh. Wilted flowers become fresh when they placed in water. When they placed in water. Second one, pulses soaked in water. Pulses soaked in water. Next, flow of water. Flow of water through the roots. Flow of water through the roots is also example for osmosis. Do you understand what is osmosis? The spontaneous flow of what? Solvent from solvent compartment to solution compartment, or dilute solution to concentrated solution through the semi-permeable membrane. Then what is semi-permeable membrane? The membrane which allow the flow of only solvent but not solute. Actually the reason is semi-permeable membrane has small pores. It actually membrane which is having pores. The pore size is very small. Those small pore size will allow the flow of only smaller particle. Which are the smaller particle? Solvent. The solvent size of the solvent particle size is very small. That's what. So those pores can allow the flow of only solvent but not solute. The particle size of the solute is larger one. Okay, that's what. Larger particle cannot pass through the small pores. Right. So that is the reason semi-permeable membrane has small pore size which permit the flow of only smaller particle, that is solvent particles. That is the reason. Okay. So these are the some example for natural and artificial semi-permeable example. Okay. Next is, let us see one small demonstration. Demonstration for osmosis. Right. Okay, demonstration for osmosis. Now let us consider a inverted Thissell funnel. This is a inverted Thissell funnel which is okay. It is inverted Thissell funnel which is containing sugar solution. Take the diagram. Okay, and the mouth of the Thissell funnel is tied with semi-permeable membrane. It is semi-permeable membrane, and this inverted Thissell funnel, now it is placed in a beaker containing water. Outside is water. Okay. Now in the beginning, this is the level of sugar solution. And this is a inverted Thissell funnel, and this is what? Semi-permeable membrane, and this beaker containing water. Now tell me, so consider a inverted Thissell funnel which containing what? concentrated sugar solution and its mouth is tied with semi-permeable membrane. Now this inverted thistle funnel is placed in a beaker containing water. Now tell me whether there is a osmosis takes place or not. Osmosis takes place. So what is osmosis? The flow of the solvent molecule from solvent compartment to solution compartment through the semi-permeable membrane. Now here, which is the solution compartment, which is the solvent compartment? So here the beaker containing water, it is a solvent compartment. Which is a solution compartment? Thistle funnel having solution, sugar solution. Therefore now there is a flow of the solvent molecule, means water. The flow of the water molecule from beaker into the where? Beaker into the thistle funnel. From where? From the or through the semi permeable membrane. Therefore as a result, what happened? So after osmosis, yeah, the level of the sugar solution is take down first. Right, so it is a before osmosis, this is after osmosis. So after osmosis and before osmosis, difference is, let us take it is a, the level of solution is A, point A. Okay, this was the point A. After this it becomes point B. This is the level of sugar solution. Then how much solvent is, how much level is increased? A to B. So it is due to osmosis. Okay, write down. Have taken diagram. Okay, consider a inverted thistle funnel. No. Consider a inverted thistle funnel containing concentrated sugar solution, and its mouth is tied with semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane, and it is placed in beaker containing water. Placed in a beaker containing water, comma, there is a flow of water from beaker into the thistle funnel. There is a flow of water from beaker into the thistle funnel. As a result, the level of sugar solution sugar solution in the thistle funnel, what happened? Increases. Level of sugar solution in the thistle funnel is increases. It shows that osmosis is taking place. It shows that osmosis taking place. Okay, do you understand? So it is a small demonstration for the osmosis. Next is, there are two type of osmosis. Yes, types of osmosis. So usually we study two types, even you might have studied in botany, zoology also, biology. One is a exoosmosis and second one is endoosmosis. Write down. First one, exoosmosis. Tell me, the meaning of exo is outside. Okay, so it is a, for example, if you take the cell, generally this is we study in cells. Okay, cell containing its solution, no? What do you say cell solution is? Cytoplasm, and it has cell organs. Okay, nucleus and etc etc. Fine. It has aqueous solution. Okay, then what is exoosmosis? Exoosmosis is outward flow of water. Outward flow of water from the cell containing aqueous solution is called what? Exo. That means in exoosmosis there is a flow of the water from the cell into outside. There is a outward flow of water from the cell containing aqueous solution is called exoosmosis. Then we have another type is endoosmosis. So what is endoosmosis? It is quite opposite. It is a cell containing aqueous solution. Okay, cell has cell organs and all. It is a cytoplasm. That is a, here we say aqueous solution. Okay, we don't know cytoplasm biology. I know aqueous solution it is. Okay, it is a aqueous solution. Now tell me, in case of endoosmosis, there is a flow of water from outside into what? In the cell. From the outside to into the cell. Therefore, it is called inward. Inward flow of water from the outside of the cell into the cell. Right? Which is called endoosmosis. Therefore, in exoosmosis, there is a flow of water from cell into outside. It is a outside into cell. Right? Then usually due to exoosmosis, what happens cells? Usually they shrink. So the size of the cell become smaller. They shrink due to loss of water. And due to endoosmosis, the size of the cell is increases. That is, they swell. That is called swell. Right? Therefore, usually this is observed in plant cells. So both endo and exoosmosis are observed in plant cell. Suppose if the exoosmosis takes place in plant cells, if it takes place in plant cells, which is called plasmolysis. Have studied in botany? Which is called plasmolysis. Due to plasmolysis, plant cell become shrink. Then the endoosmosis, it is also observed usually in plant cells. If the plant cells endoosmosis takes place, so which is called hemolysis. Right? So due to hemolysis in plant cells, so plant cells will swell. The size of the plant cell is increases due to hemolysis. Okay? So this is exo and endoosmosis. Right down. Exoosmosis. So example for exoosmosis, grapes placed in where? concentrated sugar solution. Tell me, when the grapes are placed in concentrated sugar solution, whether they shrink or swell? They shrink. Why? Because it is a beaker containing concentrated sugar solution. It is more concentrated solution. In that, grapes are placed. So, of course, grapes also having aqueous solution, but inside the grape, the concentration is less. Outside is more. So, inside the grapes, the concentration of solution is less. Therefore, there is a flow of water from grapes into outside. That is called exoosmosis, right? So, therefore, when grapes are placed in concentrated sugar solution, they will shrink. Example for exoosmosis. Next, right? If exoosmosis takes place in plant cells, called, if exoosmosis takes place in plant cells, called plasmolysis. Plasmolysis. Plasmolysis, comma, due to plasmolysis, what happen? Plant cells shrink. Due to plasmolysis, plant cells will shrink. Next is endoosmosis. Endoosmosis. Right. Inward flow of water. Inward flow of water to the cell containing aqueous solution. Inward flow of water to the cell containing aqueous solution, called endoosmosis. Can you tell me example for endoosmosis? Same example can be taken. Yes, dry grapes. Example is, so when dry grapes are placed in water, let us take, it is a beaker containing water. Okay, it is only water, fresh water, and in fresh water, if raisins are placed, raisins, dry grapes, yes or no? ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸೈಜ್ ಡಬಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಆಗಲ್ವಾ? So therefore there is a inward flow of water will be there. Okay, so therefore it become, the size of the raisins become larger. Okay, right. Example, dry grapes are raisins. Raisins are placed in water. Dry grapes or raisins are placed in water. They will shrink or swell? Swell. They will swell. Okay, next. If endoosmosis takes place in plant cells, if endoosmosis takes place in plant cells, which is called what? Hemolysis. Important. Which is called hemolysis, comma, due to hemolysis, plant cells, due to hemolysis, plant cells will swell. Due to hemolysis, plant cell will swell. Okay, so this is about osmotic pressure. Okay, so what we have studied about osmotic pressure? We have studied what is the definition of osmosis, not of, we have studied about osmosis. So we have studied what is osmosis, right? Next is types of osmosis and demonstration. So in osmosis, there is a flow of solvent molecule from where to where? From solvent to solution through the semi-permeable membrane. Okay. Next, or dilute solution to concentrate solution. Is it osmosis is a colligative property? Osmotic pressure is a colligative property, but not osmosis. Colligative properties are only 4. One is RLVP, elevation boiling point, depression freezing point, osmotic pressure. So osmotic pressure is a colligative property, but not osmosis. Okay, therefore now let us say osmotic pressure. Write down. Osmotic pressure. It is denoted by pi. Okay, so osmotic pressure, take this diagram. There are 2 compartments. So one is a, let us take solution compartment. Okay, so there are 2 compartments. One is a solution compartment, another is a solvent compartment. So solvent compartment containing solvent, okay. So here solution compartment also contain solution here. Both solution and solvent compartment separated by semi-permeable membrane. Let us have here, this is a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, this semi-permeable membrane allow solvent or soluta? Which allow solvent? Tell me. So due to osmosis, now tell me whether osmosis takes place or not. Osmosis takes place. Why? Because there is a solvent, here is a solution, 2 compartments separated by, there is a SPM, semi-permeable membrane. This semi-permeable membrane allow the solvent molecule, it allow the flow of only solvent molecule from where to where? Solvent to solution. That means from the solvent compartment to solution compartment, there is a flow of water will be there. Okay. Now due to flow of water or flow of solvent from the solvent compartment to solution compartment, then what happened? The level of the solution is increases. The level of the solution increases slowly. Now here piston is placed. Now what is osmotic pressure? Now interesting, see, osmotic pressure is the pressure which must be applied on solution compartment. The pressure which must be applied on the solution in order to stop the osmosis, to prevent the osmosis. So if you apply the pressure, what happen? If you apply the pressure on the solution, the flow of the solvent molecule from solvent compartment to solution compartment will be reduces, and at particular pressure the flow of the solvent will be stopped. In order to stop the osmosis, how much pressure is needed? That pressure is called osmotic pressure. Therefore, the definition of osmotic pressure is the pressure which must be applied on solution to prevent the osmosis, or to prevent the flow of the solvent molecule from the solvent compartment to solution compartment through the semi-permeable membrane. Okay. Then question is this: osmotic pressure, the pressure which must be applied on solution compartment or solvent compartment? It must be on solution compartment, because so now solvent are flowing from solvent compartment to solution compartment. If you apply the pressure on solution compartment, then only the flow of solvent will be stopped or prevented. In order to prevent the flow of the solvent, how much pressure is required? So that pressure, let us take pi, so which is called osmotic pressure. And osmotic pressure is a colligative property. We know that. So colligative property and dilute solutions. We also know that dilute solutions behave like ideal gases. It is observed by Van 't Hoff. So Van 't Hoff observed that all the dilute solutions behave like ideal gases. Therefore, ideal gas equation can be applied. What is ideal gas equation? PV is equals to nRT. It is a ideal gas equation. This ideal gas equation can be applied for dilute solutions. Then by changing the format, then instead of P we use pi V is equals to N R. In place R will write S and T. Therefore, pi V equal to NST. So this equation can be used for the dilute solution, where pi equal to what? Osmotic pressure. And what is V equals to? Volume of solution must be in liters. And N is equals to number of moles of solute or solventa? Solute. Therefore, can we write N equal to W2 by M2, mass by molar mass of the solute, and S equal to, it is a gas constant. Here we write solution constant. What is the S value? S value similar to R value. So what is R value? Same, 8.314 joules per mole per Kelvin, same. But S value in liter atmosphere, 0.0821 liter atmosphere per mole per Kelvin. And T is equals to, it is absolute temperature. It means temperature must be in Kelvin. Okay. So this is about osmotic pressure. Right done? Osmotic pressure. Have taken diagram? Right. The pressure which must be applied on solution. The pressure which must be applied on solution to prevent the osmosis. Over or flow of solvent from which compartment? From solvent compartment to solution compartment. From solvent compartment to solution compartment through the semi-permeable membrane. Called osmotic pressure. Next, right. Osmotic pressure is a colligative property. Osmotic pressure is a colligative property because it is depends on osmotic pressure is a colligative property because it is depends on number of solute or solvent, solute particles, because it is depends on number of solute particles. Right, next slide. Van 't Hoff observed that dilute solutions behave as ideal gases. Dilute solutions behave as ideal gases and ideal gas equation in bracket PV equal to nRT, and ideal gas equation PV equal to nRT can be used for dilute solutions, that is, take this pi into V equal to NST, pi V equal to NST. Take all the terms. Pi equal to osmotic pressure, V equal to volume of solution liter, N equal to number of moles of solute, S is solution constant, T is absolute temperature, it must be in Kelvin. Calculation of molar mass of solute from osmotic pressure. So we know that one of the important use of all the colligative properties to calculate molar mass of the solute. We can calculate very accurately molar mass of the solute. Now let's see, how do you calculate molar mass of the solute from the osmotic pressure? Let us take same equation, osmotic pressure, take down pi into V equal to NST, right? Tell me, can you, we know that where N by V, number of moles of solute in 1 liter solution, right, or volume of solution, so which gives nothing but what? Concentration, very good. C, that is molarity, molar concentration. Therefore, can I bring pi equal to N V here, bring V here, it become ST, then tell me pi equal to CST. So here, what is the C equal to? Take down molar concentration of solution, nothing but molarity, molar concentration of solution. It is one important equation. Next, and we want actually molar mass now, then tell me pi V equal to NST, but we also know that N is equals to the weight of the solute by molecular weight of solute. Yes or no? Number N is equals to number of moles of solute, number of mole equal to weight by molecular weight. Therefore, pi into V is equals to, in place of N, can we write WB by MB? Yes, into T can be written. Then what to calculate? Molar mass, MB. So MB transfer here, MB equal to WB into S into T divided by pi into V. So therefore, molar mass is inversely proportional to colligative property. right? Next, from this equation, can we write osmotic pressure is a colligative property? We have studied all the colligative properties are directly proportional to particle concentration. So here also see pi is directly proportional to concentration. So therefore you can also write I is directly proportional to, pi is directly proportional to particle concentration. So higher the particle concentration, more will be the osmotic pressure. Right? So this is the important formula to calculate molar mass of the solute. Then tell me, how do you calculate experimentally? Which method, by using which method experimentally osmotic pressure can be calculated? Firdaus, which method is used? Hartley-Berkeley method. I think written yesterday. So Hartley-Berkeley method is used to calculate the osmotic pressure experimentally. Okay. So now we have 4 colligative properties. For the 4 colligative properties, 4 different experimental methods are there. First one is RLVP, Ostwald-Walker method. Second one, delta TB, Cottrell method, delta TF, Rost method, and pi, Hartley-Berkeley method is used to calculate the osmotic pressure.